Hey guys, what's going on everyone? I have Sports Minutes here, unironically not giving you guys a sports video, but instead this is kind of my review of Godzilla vs. Kong. It's not really a review, it's kind of a rant. There's no script, it's just me kind of going off on a tangent here. Alright, so let's get into it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about the things that I didn't like about the movie, and then the things that I did like about the movie. So that way I can kind of end the video on a good note, because I don't want to bash this movie, because I liked it, you know? Alright, so let's talk about the things I didn't like. The first thing I didn't like is I couldn't see this movie in theaters, because none are open where I'm at. So that kind of sucks. I had to see it on HBO Max, but I digress. Anyway, the first real issue I have with the movie is, the 1v1 fight is not really a fight. See, it's more of a... it's more of a... I don't even know. It's... combination. Not combination. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. It's basically... it's never really an even fight, if you will. The first fight is on an aircraft carrier, where Kong is jacked up on sedatives, and... well, jacked up's not really the right word for that, but he's on sedatives, he's chained, and he's in the water, and Godzilla surprise attacks him, so he's not really ready for a fight. So that, in my mind, doesn't really count. It was cool, but it doesn't really count. And then the next fight that they have, one-on-one, is in Hong Kong, at night. And it's Kong just running away from the beam spam. So there's that, and that Godzilla didn't really have any other weapons to use besides his beam. I mean, sure, Kong got barely glazed by it and he was hurt, and you know, so if it works, keep trying to use it. But Godzilla wasn't very tactical. He didn't even use his tail, honestly. He did chuck the axe out. That's another thing I didn't like about this movie. The stupid side quest of Kong getting his axe. I mean, the Hollow Earth was cool. That's something I actually did like about that. I'd like to have them explore that a little bit more, or whatever. But the axe, I mean, I just felt the axe was just not needed. I mean, they literally had to give Kong an axe to make it a fair fight, which I just think, for the sake of the movie, I don't know, man. Godzilla, again, like I said, wasn't very tactical. He just tried to use his beam weapon, and Kong was just so agile, he could just close his mouth and just make him not use it and beat him one-on-one. And eventually Godzilla did rip the axe from his mouth and then just started shooting the beam. He got glazed by it and he scratched him. So I guess he did get a little bit tactical in the end, but I wish it wasn't in a city, and I wish the fight, to me, the two fights that are in it are kind of short, so I wish that the fights were a little bit longer. And that's another thing I have with this. The beginning of Godzilla vs. Kong is actually something I really liked about it. So, in the beginning, it shows Godzilla and Kong, and it shows all the monsters that they fought before, and it shows it in sort of like this tournament bracket, and it's like it's the finals, and that to me is really cool. But I wish they would have given King Kong a little bit more. I wish they would give him another movie after Kong's gone. Specifically, King Kong Escapes, because that's one of my favorite King Kong movies. I haven't seen it, but like I know what it is. So if they gave Kong that movie and just showed him going out of the island, not just dealing with things on Skull Island, but like other titans who wouldn't submit to him because they only bow to Godzilla, and maybe even have him gain like new followers, and that challenges Godzilla's rivalry. I wish it wasn't just an outside force. And that's another thing. They kind of pulled a Batman versus Superman here. Well, they avoided the Save Mothra joke that we were all memeing before this movie came out. What they did was they introduced an outside force, in this case, spoilers if you haven't seen it, but I assume you know what it is. But spoilers one last time, Mechagodzilla. They introduced Mechagodzilla as the outside force, the third-party force that was pissing off Godzilla, and that was why he was attacking the Apex bases, trying to flush out and even possibly destroy Mechagodzilla, even though he did kind of get his ass handed to him by Mechagodzilla. So yeah, I wish it wasn't an outside force that was causing them to fight. I wish it was just like these two guys really wanted to be king of the monsters, and because in the beginning, like I said, it's like it's a tournament bracket, but Kong really only fought the monsters on Skull Island. You know, like the skull crawlers, and you know, there was the giant octopus and whatever, and the big one in Kong Skull Island. But it's really, you can't. Godzilla has fought so many more monsters than he did, and King Ghidorah just was a way bigger threat than any of the skull crawlers could ever be. So I did wish they gave him a King Kong Escapes movie before that. So anyway, that's what I didn't like about the movie. Now let's talk about what I did like about the movie. So Godzilla in this movie, well, actually, there's one more thing that I didn't like about it, and that's that it was kind of biased towards Kong. Like I said, I kind of wanted it to be a little bit non-biased, but I guess Godzilla was sort of originally a villain, so I guess that kind of makes sense to make Kong the hero. And I don't know. I had a lot of problems with the movie, but I also had a lot of fun with the movie. Let's start with the things that I did like. Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla was one of the things that I absolutely loved about this movie was Mechagodzilla, because Mechagodzilla, he was an absolute badass in this movie. It's like Kiryu mixed with the Ready Player One design and just thin it down a little bit. But he had so many weapons at his disposal. He was so freaking fast. He had a shit ton of missiles for no reason, and he had a tail and blue beam weapons. I mean, it was actually kind of scary. Godzilla just did not stand a chance. He was getting his butt whooped by freaking Godzilla. Mechagodzilla, and he did not stand a chance. It was only when they teamed up to fight Mechagodzilla that they actually won. And not only that, but the humans had to intervene to short-circuit Mechagodzilla's computer. And I kind of like that they tied in the last film with the with Ghidorah's head in that post-credit scene, and that actually leading into something, and Ghidorah's psyche kind of took over. Like I said, it kind of ties into Kiryu, where the mechanical head. I'm sorry, this is weird. Where the mechanical, I'm getting confused here. The 1956 version of Godzilla takes over Kiryu, and he goes apeshit, and he does whatever. And that to me is pretty cool. Another thing is, I don't even know, man. Like, it's weird. I don't even. What am I even saying? Am I even doing this right? I don't even know. But anyway, it's a lot like Kiryu, where the ghost of the 1956 Godzilla takes over, and then there's actually a shot of it. There's actually like a reference to one of the older Godzilla films where one of the soldiers who saved his life, thinks he saved his life, is staring at him, and he just gets blasted. So that was a cool reference. I noticed that. And if you're a Godzilla fan, you'll pick up on these little references that they drop throughout the movie. Yeah, and honestly, it's not even. It's not even that bad of a movie. One thing I did like was the monster fights. The monster fights, even though I had complaints about them, they were still good fights. Like they definitely delivered, especially Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, because that fight was intense. Like you could tell Mechagodzilla wasn't playing around, and he really just he kind of killed it, honestly. He honestly kind of killed it with Godzilla. He almost killed Godzilla. And that's another thing. That's one more nitpick that I forgot to mention with this movie that I have, is that they said that there's going to be a decisive winner, because in the original 1962 version there was never a decisive winner. There was a theory that there was two endings, the Japanese ending and the American ending, which just the Japanese ending had Godzilla win, and the American ending had King Kong win. So, but they said that there was going to be a decisive winner, and honestly, I don't think that they properly did that. Now, there's a lot of people saying that Godzilla won, but then there's also the argument that Kong won. And now the argument for Kong comes from a line in the movie, which after not even halfway through the fight in Hong Kong, the guy in the ship says, "Looks like round 2 goes to Kong," but it doesn't, and that fight wasn't even over yet, and Godzilla steps on him. So it's really, they really only have 2 rounds, and there's never a tiebreaker, and they're never at full strength. Godzilla is actually holding back because he, at least in my opinion, I think Godzilla was a little bit holding back in the fight, because Kong wasn't really the enemy. He was really trying to get to Mechagodzilla, which he did, and excuse me, and he did, and it was too much for him. So there's not really a decisive winner. I mean, sure, at the end of the film, Kong is holding up Mechagodzilla's head, but that was with the help of his axe, which he had to have an entire freaking side quest to find, and he had to get it charged by Godzilla. Kong almost dies in this film, and it's not only that, but the humans bring him back, and then Godzilla charges his axe, and that's the only reason he's able to beat Mechagodzilla. So it just, there's no decisive winner. Kong has plot armor, Godzilla gets dumped on and has to work with only his atomic breath, and still manages to fight both Kong and Mechagodzilla in the span of probably 2 hours, which is the length of this movie. But like in that time period, because you know, with movies, there's a lot of time cuts and whatever. And so there's a lot of plot armor protecting Kong, and Godzilla just really has to work with what he has. And he still, I mean, Godzilla still rocks him, you know? So, no, I'm not buying that Kong won just because the movie said it. I think they really could have done a better job of deciding who actually wins this, because it's like Batman v Superman all over again, because there's a third party source and we never really know who wins this fight. But I said I was going to end this video on a good note, and there is a couple more things that I actually did like about the movie. Some of the humor from some of the human characters, that was kind of funny. I mean, the guy with the homemade homemade hand sanitizer, I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know, just little snippets like that. And then there was definitely, again, like I said, the fights were awesome. And then there was the hollow earth theory. The visuals looked amazing. Fighting in the daytime. Godzilla kind of getting his ass handed to me was kind of pleasing at the same time, you know, because he's always this dominant force, and it's kind of weird, but kind of cool to see him have a real challenge. Kong in the big city. There's a scene. It's kind of a callback to him on top of the Empire State Building, because when you think of King Kong, you think of the Empire State Building, and it's not exactly the Empire State Building, but it is a very similar shot, and you'll know it when you see it. And Godzilla actually, despite my complaints about the Hong Kong fight, he actually does get a bit of a strategy after he beams Kong, after Kong runs all throughout Hong Kong, and he just kind of beams him, and he kind of chomps on his axe, and he throws it away, and he starts clawing at him. So that to me says that Godzilla wins this fight. Even though that they didn't clearly say it, and they try to throw you off saying round 2 goes to Kong, which it doesn't, because the round wasn't over. So I wanted to leave this video off on a good note, but I guess I just can't do that, because the movie has too many plot holes. But, you know, go into this movie knowing it's gonna be stupid, but that's the kind of fun that you're gonna have, because this movie is not meant to be serious. It's not meant to be, you know, it's not meant to be as dark as any Zack Snyder film you might have seen. It's meant to be two monsters beating the crap out of each other, maybe a third-party monster that is Mechagodzilla, and just all-around fun. So go into the movie knowing that and expecting that, and that's the fun you're gonna have. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. If you're new around here, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, comment down below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.